Hey guys, what is going on? We are halfway through the Wyndham Championship. We just finished, actually, there might be a couple guys out on the course yet, but we just finished the second round of the Wyndham Championship. And oh man, we are live yet again. So if you recall, one of my favorite guys for the week, a guy that I bet personally, I have a ton of in fantasy. I left a lot of salary on the table in some fantasy lineups just to get as much exposure to this guy as possible. One, Russell Henley is leading the way. He is a 4-shot lead over Webb Simpson. So we're in good shape. Again, anything could happen over the weekend. Don't take a victory lap just yet, but it's feeling pretty good. You know, he could go wire to wire. We did see him collapse, though, at the the U.S. Open. Obviously, that's totally different. This course sets up way better for Russell Henley. But it is great to see that he is up by 4 at the moment. So we'll take a look at how he's getting it done, but something that we'll definitely feel good about. At least we'll have a good sweat heading into the weekend. So pretty pumped about that. I will say as a whole, if you tailed any of this, the things we got right, we got really right. The things we got wrong, we got really wrong. And there's not a lot in the middle. So even though, for yours truly, a lot of my lineups have Webb and Henley in them, they also have a lot of 7K guys who ended up missing the cuts, and a lot of them right on the number. So literally just saw Doc Redmond finish up, couldn't make a birdie on 18, so did not make the cut. So I'm not sure how many 6 of 6s I have on DraftKings this week. I have a ton of 5 of 6s, which is good. I'm pretty sure the field only has maybe a 1% 6 of 6 rate. So if you have 5 of 6, and maybe one of the 2 guys at the top, you're ideally both, you're probably sitting pretty good. So again, it might be a guy taking the thing down this week that has a really strong 5 of 6. We'll see. But in any event, feeling pretty good from an outright perspective. So the other guy that we liked a lot, so we talked about a lot, is Webb Simpson. So he's sitting here 4 shots back. He actually started his round on Thursday with a double bogey, and then obviously came roaring back from there. So Data Golf's given Henley about a 45-50% chance of winning this, given Webb about a 20%. So you got 60% of the win equity between these 2 guys, which means if we're going to take some live stabs down the board, you may want to consider, again, small investments, maybe bigger payouts in the outright market. But this could be a good spot to try and grab some guys for top 5s, because it's probably going to be these 2 guys battling it out the rest of the weekend. I'm sure someone will make a run. There are 62s and 63s that are out there, so no doubt in my mind someone is going to shoot a low number tomorrow. We'll see if we can look at the data, try and figure out who that might be, but I think the win equity between Russ Henley, Webb Simpson is pretty strong. So maybe if we're considering any live bets, consider top 5s, top 10s, things like that. So anyway, Webb's 4 shots back. He's tied with Rory Sabatini, coming off the silver medal at the Olympics. So he's still staying pretty hot. Scott Piercy as well. I think I'll have to take a look. Scott Piercy, I think, was maybe in the top 30 in my model. It's Scott Piercy. But at this course, this event, maybe it was a miss. So we'll have to take a look at that. Justin Rose is playing really well. We'll take a look at how he's getting it done here in a second. But he's trying to get into the FedEx Cup playoffs. So Data Golf's given him about a 50-50 shot. I'm pretty sure he needs a top 5 finish to get in. So if you're interested in who's trying to make the top 125 to play the Northern Trust next week for the playoffs, Justin Rose is a bubble guy, which is kind of weird to say because this guy is just 2 years ago, maybe it's 3 years ago now, was world number 1. So kind of crazy to see him fall off, but he's definitely getting older. So I don't know, maybe it's wear and tear, but good to see him playing well this week. Brian Stewart, 9 under par. Tyler Duncan, T-Dunks, 9 under par. I don't know if these guys really have a chance to win, but they're interesting, right? You're happy if you used any of them in fantasy. Kevin Streelman was a guy, was on my short list from the betting card. He was 55-1. Again, I don't necessarily think he's going to win, but he's playing well, right? I ended up fading him in fantasy, though. I tried to narrow in a little bit. I ended up using Gary Woodland instead, obviously, because I was a huge fan of his. In terms of, Gary's play, he kind of clicked it into gear at the end, but just kind of played himself out of it for, I guess, the first 30 holes of the tournament. So, yeah, Gary missed the cut on the number. Very sad. But Streelman playing very well. Kevin Na, Alex Smalley, who I don't know a ton about, but I know he's potentially a quote-unquote young up-and-comer. So he's sitting there at 8. McCumber's at 8. So you got a lot of guys in the 7 and 8 range. Chris Kirk, Kisner, Johnny Vegas, Kuchar's playing well. The guy that we really liked heading into the week, Sunjay M, sitting there at 6 under par. He's tied with Harold Varner, so I do have outrights on these two guys. So I'm hoping if anyone makes a run up the board this weekend, it's these two guys. We'll look at it in a second, but Sanjay's actually second in the field in ball striking. He's losing 2 strokes putting so far. Bermuda's his best surface. We'll have to check the odds, but I think a very live top 5 bet would be on Sanjay, and I'm pretty sure he's 60-1 to win. So if you're trying to find a guy that can go shoot a maybe 62 tomorrow, take a really hard look at Sanjay. He's playing really well this week. Harold Varner's playing pretty well too. I think he, not gaining off the tee, gaining on approach. We'll take a look in a second. But honestly, that's about it. Everyone else, I would say, is not live to win this thing. Again, crazy things happen. They could go shoot back-to-back 62s or something like that, but I'm not sure that that's the most likely scenario. So I would be focusing a lot of energy at the top. So if we jump over to the Fantasy National live strokes gained leaderboard, let's take a look at how some of these guys are getting it done. The one thing that gives me a little bit of pause about Russell Henley at the top is he's gained about 6 strokes putting so far. Now, he's a good Bermuda putter, so sustainable. I like the fact that he's gaining off the tee, gaining on approach. So he's gaining it from a ball striking perspective, but he shot 62 on Thursday, and he would have to shoot a 6 under 64 today. So he could cool off a little bit over the weekend, but he's built himself a nice cushion, so that's good to see. Let's take a look and see who the top ball strikers in the field are. So Webb Simpson, number 1. So obviously he has a lot of staying power, so he's a really strong live bet. I think at the moment he is 3-1. Trying to figure out if I should be hedging or not. I may regret not doing it, but maybe see how things play out a little bit. Maybe Webb goes out, bogeys the first hole or something. So I think he'll be playing in the second to last group. Maybe this drops a little bit. I'd be more comfortable hedging if it were like a 4 or 5-1 kind of scenario for Webb, but whatever. We'll see what happens. Same thing. If Henley goes out, maybe birdies the first. Maybe that's an opportunity to jump in. Else I might be just riding this out. We'll see. But obviously Webb is a strong play for the weekend. I think, if we're playing Showdown, he's a really strong anchor play as well. So if I were doing that, I probably won't be this week because obviously I have a lot to root for at the top of the leaderboard. But if you're playing Showdown, things like that, I think Webb's a good play. Kevin Na is actually second. So he is gaining a ton on approach. Not much happening with the putter. Could totally see going back to Kevin Na this week. So guy that can get scorching hot with the irons. It looks like he may be on the precipice of that. From an outright perspective, he's 25-1. Don't hate that. I mean, he's basically 6 back. Crazier things have happened. I think he has probably better than 4% chance of winning. So 25-1 on Kevin Na is not the craziest thing in the world. But I think personally where I would probably go is Sanjay. So he's 55-1. He is, again, trying not to be biased because I already have an outright on him, but he is 8 shots back, which seems like a lot. So you're kind of betting on Russell Henley cooling down in addition to Sanjay getting hot. But he's actually lost, like I said, almost 2 strokes putting. He's a fantastic Bermuda putter. The strokes gain approach numbers are phenomenal. I think it's actually tops in this field. So yeah, he's scorching hot right now. He played really well today, just couldn't make the putts that he needed to. So take a very strong look at Sanjay. He's played here a couple times. I think he has maybe a top 15 and a top 5 finish. So maybe a strong top 5 bet for Sanjay. Other guys that we like, Justin Rose again is playing really well. I don't know if he can keep it up over the weekend, but he's playing for something. You can't quantify that, but not the craziest idea to take a shot on him maybe for like a Showdown type play or something. I don't know if I would bet him to win. He's 14-1. That doesn't really feel right, but definitely live again from a Showdown perspective. Streelman's playing really well. Hadwin had a rough round today. I'm not a big Adam Hadwin fan. I feel like his strokes gained here for the first round or two are more of an outlier instead of something that I'd expect to continue. Sam Ryder played really well today. He double bogeyed the last. So again, I'm not really a huge fan of any of these like randos in here because I just don't know that it's sustainable. But you can take a shot. Munoz playing really well. He's up there in the leaderboard. My guy, KH Lee, he's playing really well this week too, just losing it with the putter. So he could be a guy to take a look out for Showdown as well. Didn't think this would be a Bubba track. It's not. He's at -4, but he's gaining on approach and off the tee. Guy that makes a lot of birdies could make sense for Showdown as well. So these are guys that I like heading into maybe a fantasy for the weekend, something like that. Again, in terms of outrights, personally, I'm probably not doing a whole lot here, but I could see a Kevin Na, Sanjay kind of setup here if I were taking any shots down the board. For me personally, I'll probably just be riding Russell Henley through the weekend. Hopefully he can keep it up, keep things dialed in, keep the putter going. Webb is a very scary leader of the chase pack, so if there's an opportunity that presents itself to maybe hedge, if you have a Henley ticket, I'd strongly consider it. But again, you can't really do it when he's 3-1 and there's all of these other guys right there, right? So maybe this is an opportunity come Sunday. Maybe Russ continues to have a 4-stroke lead. That would be great. And then I think you can think about it, but it's a little risky right now to do that. So anyway, that's how we're setting up. That's how we're looking at things for the weekend. I'm super pumped. Wyndham Championship. Kind of a, next week is going to be a lot more fun, right? You get all the big names back, but hopefully we can make it 2 in a row. That would be fantastic, right? So coming out with the answer win last week, hopefully Russ can get it done this week. So that's it for me. As always, if you learned something, if you like the content, subscribe to my channel, give the video a like, shout outs in the comments, much appreciated. Let me know if you tailed Russ, so we can sweat it out together. Rooting for you guys if you did. And we will talk soon. Thanks, guys.